Welcome, everybody, to another episode of It Came from Facebook. So, we're doing something a little different this week. Instead of just looking at a given market or a given type of bike or a brand, we're doing one specific model. We tried to find the cleanest example of an SV650 in the United States. Now, we thought we'd start this off with the SV650 because it's probably the most ubiquitous used sort of first or second motorcycle. I mean, the SV650 kind of exists in this realm of like either you've had one or somebody you know have had one or you've thought about getting one. It is literally like the most ubiquitous motorcycle I can probably think of at the current moment, other than like a Harley Sportster or something like that. I think the SV650 is a Sportster for us non-Harley people. So, producer Logan found some excellent examples of some strange and fun and good-looking SV650s. I just noticed that the background, the background of this image has some really strange Facebook groups. New World Order, Adrenochrome, withdrawal support. Producer Logan always on the cutting edge. Let's get started. The first one up for grabs is a 2020 SV for $4,500, going for 5268 miles. Says it's a great motorcycle, great V-twin sound. He's got a couple accessories, new low-rise handlebars, Canon air filter, spark plugs, clean Oregon title in my name. Miles will increase slightly since I do use her one time per weekend. Let's take a look at the photos. Yeah, it's a great looking motorcycle. So this was 2017 plus SV. This is third generation SV650, where they kind of tweaked and refined and changed quite a few things when they re-released it after not having it for a few years when they did the Gladius thing. So my opinion, third gen is kind of the bargain of the century right now. This is probably what we're going to see. I haven't seen all of these SVs yet, but I can almost guarantee you the ones we're going to pick today are going to be 2017 plus. So, tastefully modified, looks pretty damn clean, pretty low mileage for the year. What are we at, like 5,000 miles? Yeah, 5,200 miles on a 5-year-old motorcycle. I mean, I've got 5,000 miles on my Touareg, and I use the thing nearly every day. And I've had it for a year. So this gentleman or lady is using this motorcycle a fifth as much as I'm using my bike. So very much like a once a weekend type of thing. Looks adult owned and cared for. You know, the blue housing is a bit silly. The blue handlebars and all the accessories and stuff are a little not to my taste personally, but nothing wrong with it necessarily, right? Like some of these are tastefully done. Like the tank grips are good. And if you're going to be buying a used motorcycle, it's pretty darn hard to find something that hasn't been modified at all. Me personally, at the stage that I'm at nowadays, like I barely modify my own personal motorcycles other than maybe putting a higher spec tire and some tank grips or something like that, because the rest of it really is just farkles that I have no need for. So if possible, try to find something as unmodified as possible. But again, if you're looking at something that's 4 or 5 years old, it might have, like this one has frame sliders we can see here. It's got an exhaust. I don't know what brand of exhaust that is, but, it's just a pipe. It's fine. As long as it's been flashed, if there's no longer a catalytic converter underneath, then you should be in decent shape. The SV650 is great, especially this platform, because all of the muffling and catalytic converting, as far as I know, is all out here in the pipe. So the stock one has a really big fat pipe at the rear, so if you just pop one of those out, put a new slip-on on, it sounds great. You can actually make it sound a little too loud. We had a giveaway SV650 in like 2019, and I remember doing that to that bike, and I was like, whoa, this thing ended up being very, very loud. But they're punchy, they're fun, very dialed in. This one specifically, the thing about it, what price are we at? $4,500. This is in Oregon. Oregon is, I would say, it's West Coast, probably a little bit higher price bracket, but this is still a pretty decent deal for this bike. Brand new, these were like $7,000, so a couple years on, you'd expect to pay about $4,500. But that's what I mean when I say that you don't have to settle for getting like a $1,200 beat to hell SV650. Like you could save just a little bit, and I can guarantee you we're going to see some gems in here. I really think the sweet spot is like $4,000 to $5,000 for an SV. Gets you all of the SV you could ever want. If you do want to be a cheap bastard, $3,000 probably gets it done, but $4,000 to $5,000 gets you all the motorcycle you need, and that's not a whole lot of lunch money. Just save it up a little bit. I promise you can get it done. So this one is looking good. This is going to be a top contender for me. At the end of the video, we're going to go back and I'm going to pick my absolute favorite SV that we found here. Moving on. All right, 2020 SV for $6,000, $1 off, 14,500 miles. So that's more mileage than the one we saw, about triple as much. Track ready Gen 3. It's only seen one track day. He's got a lot of goodies on it, so you guys may know I am a dedicated track boy, former club racer. I've had a lot of fun with track bikes. So he's got a custom TTX shock at the rear, GP suspension cartridges up front, so that's a drop-in for the existing forks that are in it. Brembo Master, very nice. Core moto braided lines, I'm assuming direct to the calipers. Second owner, all original parts included. Then he's got a friggin' laundry list of parts here that I'm not going to go over every single little thing, but some stuff that's just standard track day stuff. I see a kickstand, switch, delete. That's nice if you're running no kickstand. He's got the ABS delete, which is good. He's got, what else? Tire warmers, sending it to you. Better brake pads. He's got a couple of regular street mods. I wouldn't say this from the description alone. I don't know if it's track capable. I don't know about track ready. Let's take a look. It's looking really clean though. So this one looks like somebody, I'm not sure if this was track ready or if it was just somebody who was looking for a really dialed in Canyon spec SV650. So whoever's owning this currently has a little bag on the back of it, got some quality of life modifications, a pretty road spec tire. I think that's the Pirelli Rosso 4, maybe? That tread pattern looks like Bridgestone S22. I see the B right there. Yeah, it was one of the, it was a tire I have recent experience with. That must be an S22 or 23. Great tire. So I see the background here, Angeles Forest in LA. I've actually ridden there. Beautiful location, wonderful place to own and ride a motorcycle. And the SV here, we see that, yeah, somebody took it out to the track, had a little bit of fun with it. You can see the boogers on the tire, some sort of no-name exhaust. We have different rear sets. They look reasonably high quality. I can't exactly tell what the spec is. You see the reservoir for the remote reservoir adjuster for the shock in the back here. Looks like whoever was currently owning this bike, love to see that setup on here. This is one of the most underrated mods to do to any motorcycle is a new master cylinder. It dramatically changes the braking feel and performance of your motorcycle. If you want the Yami Noob way to go, it's tires and then brake res. That's what I would do every single bike, every time. So, we talked about local markets and such. This one is in California, Southern California, one of the most expensive markets in the United States. It's going to command a higher premium. We're talking $6,000 for this one. I personally don't think it's worth $6,000. It's got a bit of mileage on it. We're talking 5,000 or 15,000 miles, I think, right? Because whoever's using it is, about 15,000 miles. If somebody's using it for fun weekend duty, having a good blast with this thing, running around town, and enjoying it for what you should be doing with an SV650. To call it track ready is, I'd say track capable, right? It's got some suspension, it's got, decent road spec tires, not the OE equipment stuff, brake res. This is a little specialized for my taste. If I was recommending an SV650 to somebody, I maybe wouldn't put them on something that's been this modified. I'd want something a little bit more clean, a little bit more untouched. That really is the name of the game, especially if you're going to drop $6,000 on a bike. I don't think you should drop it on this sort of SV650. I do see a comfort seat of some description, though. So if somebody is enjoying this bike on longer distances, which I do think is pretty sweet. So this one, going to keep it in the back catalog. I think the first one you saw was a little bit better. I think that one's in the lead right now, and we'll keep it moving. We'll find the best SV650. All right, 1999 SV650, $600. No title, needs throttle, does run, will trade for running dirt bike or four-wheeler. Okay, a 99 SV. Oh, come on. You're going to tell me this thing runs? Lord have mercy. Look at what... Oh, my God. Yeah, we get to the point... I've made this joke so many times, but, it just looks like snuff footage. It just looks like somebody, killed this thing. It's like a murder mystery documentary that, finally shows the photo of whoever's dead. This one looks like... This is just kind of a scary image in general. Very foreboding, very, the dark vignette around it. If ever there was a bike you shouldn't buy, it's this. This one's a hard 0 out of 10. We're not even going to discuss this very much further. This just looks like a heinous fate that this motorcycle fell under. So, yeah, terrible buy. Obviously, do not get this. Do not collect 200. Do not pass go. Do not just go straight to jail. Straight to jail. 2004 SV650. So this is second gen, fuel injected, I believe, not carbureted, or EFI rather. Electronic fuel injection, FS/FT. I don't know what that means. $3,000. reposting this, was on the fence about selling, but found another bike I'd have. 2004, has 30,000 miles, tank is a small ding, needs an oil change, but that may happen before sale. Great starter bike, yep. Aftermarket Yoshimura, competition works tail tidy. Only issue is a slight bend to front wheel. Can't feel it, didn't notice that I bought it with it until I looked at old photos. Okay, let's take a look. So, second gen SV650. This is the one, as I mentioned, I think 2004, they were running EFI, so that's good. I think the only SVs that were carbureted were like, this is going to stress test my knowledge, but I think it's 98, 99, and 2000. I think in 2001, it went EFI, because the Busa was always EFI, and that launched in 1999, and then Suzuki started phasing out their carburetors. Well, for some of their models. Some of them they still sell with carburetors, but they started phasing out in the real deal motorcycles they were selling. This one still had the tri-spoke wheels, which is pretty cool. A guy who used to work here at Yami Noob named Josh used to have one that looked a lot like this, with this frame, this tail. It's still a great platform. It's still the SV650, still the tried and true thing. This one's in relatively good condition. Reasonable. The $2,500 to $3,000 price point as this one is at, that's when you're talking like, the older SVs, the one that have like kind of fully depreciated. They're not ever really going to be worth less than like $2,500 as long as somebody, keeps up to date with them. This one's looking pretty clean. The frame looks good. The gas tank looks decent, but $3,000, it's a chunk of change for an SV. I like the classic vibes on this one. I do think it's pretty cool. But I think we have to be realistic that, if you're going to spend just a little bit more, $1,500 more, save up that lunch money, you get a 2020 with 5,000 miles on the clock. And the thing is, SVs are very reliable, right? They're notoriously reliable. But the thing is, there are components that will age over time regardless of mileage. So you could say, oh, but yeah, it's got 30,000 miles. Like, what's wrong with that? That's really nothing for a 20-year-old bike. It isn't, but there's other stuff that will degrade over time that isn't related to mileage. We're talking bushings, we're talking bearings, rubber parts. A lot of that stuff, depending on if this bike has been kept outside or inside, will degrade over time. A lot of the rubber is going to start getting real dry and kind of not so great. Those are the kind of components that if you're going to buy a much older motorcycle like this one's 21 years old, that's the kind of stuff you're really going to want to dial in on, and with a much newer bike, you won't have that issue. So I still think the very first one we saw is the best one so far, but this is a decent buy. Like, realistically, this is a decent buy. I wouldn't steer someone away from this bike. It would just be the type of thing that I'm like, you're probably going to run into a couple issues that you may not with a brand new SV or a newer SV. So this one, I think it's sort of in that kind of third place ranking. I think the track spec one is a little better. And then the very first one we saw, still number one. I think it's still the best one. Okay, let me take a break really quick and tell you about a secret weapon I use on my bike, and that is Rockform. I've been using products from them for many years now, and you'll always find one of their mounts on my bikes. Right when I think a Rockform handlebar mount can't get any better, they went and dropped their new wireless charging head. This little guy fits onto any existing Rockform handlebar mount, and when plumbed into USB power, it'll wirelessly charge your phone anytime it's mounted onto your handlebar. It's pretty sweet. It means no more arriving at your destination with 5% battery or fumbling around with extra cords every time you get on or off your bike. I've been using it, and honestly, it's a game changer. Whether you're commuting or heading out on a weekend canyon run, your phone stays powered, protected, and perfectly positioned. Rockform has always been a longtime supporter of Yami Noob, and we are very grateful for that. So if you like what we do and need to upgrade your mount or jump on the bandwagon for the first time, hit the link in the description and use the code YN25 for 25% off your order from Rockform. Thanks again to Rockform for sponsoring today's video. Now let's get back into it. 2008 SV650 for $5,000. This is still the same generation that we just saw, if I remember correctly. So 2008 SV650S, great condition, beast, lightweight, quick, well cared for, runs like a dream. Any kind of mileage on here? We don't. Clean title, clean body, aftermarket exhaust, low miles for its year, tailbag included, ready to ride. Just had oil change, perfect for new riders and experienced. Pulls hard, handles great, always turns heads. Let's take a look. Okay, SV650S. This was a variant that was sold for a brief period of time that actually had like full fairings, because the SV is They did it in a couple different configurations over the years. They had the kind of half-faired model in the beginning, and then they did this S version that actually had like a belly pan and full fairings and all that stuff. You know, it's funny, like this bike in '08, a lot of people kind of scratched their heads and are like, oh, why would you want that? But now this is like the kind of bike du jour. This is the bike that everybody wants nowadays. This is a GSX 8R of days past. This is an R7 of days past. Punchy V-twin engine, accommodating frame, good ergonomics. You can still put a little bag on the back of it. I mean, this is as much motorcycle as basically anybody could ever want or need. And this one does look pretty decent. do we have a photo of the mileage on this thing? This gentleman did not include mileage, which makes it a little tough. This one looks better than the other one, and it's newer too. It's an '08. I like the silver. I like the full fairings. The windshield gives you a little bit more, abilities with this motorcycle. You can do a little bit more long distance with it, that sort of thing. I see another touring spec style motorcycle back here, which is pretty cool. He's got the right type of tires on here, more of a sport touring type of tire. The bag is a really nice touch too. It looks well cared for, and because it's newer than the other one, and it looks a little bit better cared for, to be honest, I think this one sits above that. But I still think that first one we saw, that 2020, with barely any miles on it for $4,500. I mean, it's really hard to beat a deal like that. But if you want something that has the full fairings, and the S versions are a good generation to look for, that would be my recommendation. I wish this gentleman had put the mileage on this one. Kind of sad that we didn't get the mileage. So, number one, the first one we saw is still the best one so far. We're trying to unseat that very first SV. This one's looking pretty good, though. I think this one, I would probably rate third place so far. Third place, we got this one. Second place is that track spec SV, and first place is that strange blue one. But the blue one, the blue is maybe not to everyone's taste, but the fundamentals are very, very good on that bike, and $4,500 is a great deal. So, okay, moving on. All right, '04 SV650 for $3,000. This is going to be just like that other one we saw, the red one. So this one says super clean bike, Yoshimura slip-on, new front and rear turn signals, 30,000 miles. That's a little bit high. Oil changed within the last 400 miles. The bike is a runner. It's fuel injected and starts every time. It's a reliable bike that's very quick, but good bike for beginners. That's true of the SV. Let's take a look. All right, so this one's blue. The other one was red. And I think it's interesting how this SV in particular, this generation with this frame and this setup and this look, I think that these will be around until the heat death of the universe. There's just a sort of infinite amount of SV650s that are available to people in this configuration. So this one seems very unmodified except for the Yoshimura exhaust. It's super clean, super clean. 30,000 miles has never looked so good on this SV650. It's cleaner than that other second gen that we saw with the red with the dented gas tank. This one I think is in better condition than that one based on what I'm seeing here. It's a little higher mileage than I would like, but SVs run really well. I don't know if it's better than that fully faired silver one that we saw. I still think that the first one is still that 2020 that we saw. I mean, you can't really beat that, for $4,500. This is $3,000, $1,500 more, and you get something that's 16 years newer. I mean, that choice kind of makes itself for me. But again, if you are very price conscious, if you only have $3,000 and you are only going to spend $3,000, this is a lot of bike for $3,000, and this thing is super clean for $3,000. I think this thing is really well set up, and just give it a once over on all the consumables, right? All the fluids, all the rubber lines. You may have to do some work with the bushings and the bearings, but realistically, it's gonna work pretty well. Check the head bearing. Make sure you got full lock to lock. No weird kind of crinkly. I don't know if you guys have ever maneuvered around a real old bike that kind of notches a little bit when you turn it. You don't want that. You want something nice and smooth. And that one's kind of a pain in the butt to do. I've never done a head bearing swap or whatever, steering stem swap, whatever it's called. But I can imagine pushing it out and stuff. Somebody get Ari Henning on the phone. I bet he can do that on SV650. Moving on. All right, 2019 SV650 for $4,900, so $400 more than the other one. 2019 SV650X. I have never seen another one of these. We did this as a giveaway bike in 2020. It's the only one I've ever seen. This one has some tasteful mods, integrated tail lights, tail tidy, 9,300 miles, full exhaust, Exotech frame sliders. So some kind of simple quality of life stuff and kind of tasteful mods to just kind of make it a little bit better. Let's take a look. The X was a cool bike. Okay, so we had one of these in 2020 as a giveaway bike. The SV650X was a kind of like pseudo cafe racer thing that Suzuki did with the SV, and it looks really cool, right? Like it's got the retro paint job, the brown leather seat. I thought ours was really neat, and it's a really cool bike. This one looks like it's been, I think these are the Pirelli Angel GTs. I don't remember what tire this is. This may be OE spec. He may have just swapped up to the same one as before. What are we selling this at? $4,900? You gotta talk him down a little bit, get him down to that 4,500 mark, like the blue one. You know, for mileage, this has 9,000 miles. The other one had about 5,000 miles. I think the X is a more interesting SV650 to own than the other one. And this one, I think, to my taste and my eye, I would rather have an SV650X in this kind of clean white with the brown seat than that blue SV650 we saw in the beginning with like all the handlebars and stuff. So this, I think, is my current number one pick. This one's looking really good, honestly. The X is kind of different. It's a good looking bike. You just got to talk this guy down a little bit. 49 is, I don't, you know, we're splitting hairs on a couple $100. I think, depending on the market that it's in, you know, 40, 43, if you're getting it down for 43, that's a lot of bike for the money for 43, you know? And I'd be happy with paying 43 for it. I think you'd have a lot of fun with this bike. It all looks really clean and in shape. Because it's a 2019, you don't have to worry about as much stuff as some of the older models. It's looking nice. It's looking good. I think this one is... I think this one's my favorite so far, for sure. I have a soft spot for the X. I think it looks cool. This one's in great shape. Got some nice, tasteful mods already done to it. It's already got an exhaust. It's got a tune. It's got a tail tidy. It's already got a lot of the stuff you would want to do. Frame sliders. Yeah. Yeah, all right. This is number one now. It's going to be hard to beat this one. Moving on. Okay. 2007 SV for $1,500. Wow, that's nothing. 2007 rebuilt custom SV made by my friend from Italy. Well, it doesn't inspire much confidence. Custom subframe, custom light, new oil and filter, new foot pads, new brake lever. Tires are in good shape. It has issues, which is why the price is low. Ugh, needs some work. Needs a new chain. Front brake needs to be pumped. There's no speedometer, gas gauge. It's a cool bike and an art piece at this point, but still drives well. Has a clean New York title, but was lost, so no title. Oh boy. So many red flags. So many red flags in this listing. Let's take a look. Yeah, it's about what I thought. I mean, parts bike, right? Parts bike. If you have an SV650 race bike and you need something on the cheap with some parts to harvest, you could maybe buy this thing. If you need motor, fork, wheels, brakes. I mean, there's some parts on here for a racer, but this is certainly not a bike you would buy. Definitely not. This is 0 out of 10. Do not buy this bike. Just, to me, it's in the same realm as the other one we saw with the crazy snuff film photo. Just basket case motorcycle. There's no reason to buy something like this. It's just not going to do things correctly, not going to run right. Somebody's weird custom project. Nope. Pass. Nope. Doesn't even look that particularly well executed, to be honest. It looks a little... It definitely looks like someone's first try at something kind of funky like this, you know? Yeah, I wouldn't do this one. Nope. Moving on. All right, 06 SV650, same second generation, 32,000 miles, clean title, fully ready to ride. Newer chain, new tires, new taillights, very clean bike. I've owned last year, no issues. Garage kept, just wanted to upgrade, open to trades. Let's take a look. It's a beautiful classic. This is what I was saying. This specific type of SV, the one with the no fairings, this frame, this generation, sort of like 2003 to 2007, they're like a dime a dozen, man. You can get these for $3,000 all day, every day. But you can already start to see that it's not going to be as nice as that SV650X or the very first one that we saw. And it's no dog. I'm not trying to dog on like the older bikes, right? I'm a big fan of older motorcycles, the classic, charming ones, the ones that are going to work great and start up and run every time, which this thing definitely will. I'm just saying that if you are looking for an SV650, I don't think you should settle for something like this necessarily, because older bikes will always have weird little things that pop up, especially a bike with 32,000 miles that's, 19 years old at this point? Yeah, 2006, nearly a 20-year-old bike. I just don't think it's worth it, you know? I just think the peace of mind is worth that little extra price premium. We're talking $1,200 more to get a nearly brand new SV650. So something like this, I don't think it's a hard pass necessarily, but I just don't think it could beat other SVs that you'd be looking at. And it is going to be market specific, right? If you're in California, bikes are going to be more expensive. If you're in the middle of Missouri, there might not be as much inventory in the used market. It really depends on where you live, right? If you're trying to find a lot of motorcycles that are fitting a certain mold, you may have to, either rent or drive a truck to get to where you're trying to go to, come back with the bike. Usually around major metro areas, there's lots of offerings, particularly in areas where people ride a lot, right? I would probably not expect to find many great sport bikes in Chicago, for example, that aren't stunted out or something like that, just because it gets cold for like 6 months out of the year. Whereas if you go to California, Texas, Florida, there's tons of bikes available because people ride year-round. So that's a consideration to make too. Well, boys, I think without a doubt, let's go back to her over here. I think our winner for today is this 2019 SV650X. I think this is definitely the one to get. It's the least modified, the newest, the nicest. It has kind of an element of provenance to it, we can even say. It's an X variant, which is a little bit more rare. Really cool bike. This would be my pick for sure out of all the ones we saw today. But let me know which one you think was the best. And if you are an SV650 savant or aficionado, drop me a comment down below as well. I have a decent amount of knowledge on these bikes, but I'm certainly no expert on the SV. It's not my preferred platform. Thanks so much for checking out today's video. I appreciate it. I hope you learned something, and we'll catch you in the next one. See you later.